Am I always wearing the same sweatshirt on these videos? I do wear this sweatshirt a lot. Going to do some catch-up today on the Pittsburgh Symphony concert series. My wife and I have a subscription on Sunday afternoons, and I'm a couple of weeks behind. It is Monday. There wasn't a concert yesterday, but there was one the Sunday before on the 18th and the Sunday before that on the 11th. I'm going to combine this video. I'm going to combine both of those concerts into this one video, just kind of a general overview of the music, my thoughts, my impressions. I will give you a heads up that neither of these were favorite concerts. Usually I'm very enthusiastic, right? I always find something to be kind of high about, either a piece that I like, or a performance, a performer, or something that I just get genuinely enthused about. But this entire set, 6 pieces, didn't really... there's some nice stuff, and I'll have plenty of positive things to say, but you're not going to find me levitating off my chair. So I'm just going to go backwards, right? So the last piece on the 18th, and then I'm going to go to the first piece on the 11th in reverse order. Antonin Dvorak Symphony No. 7 in D minor, Opus 70. Meh. I was surprised. I didn't know this piece going in. Wasn't familiar with it. But I do like a nice big symphony. Like, who doesn't? Nice big Mahler symphony, Bruckner, right? The New World, right? Dvorak. This, it didn't seem quite, it just didn't stick the landing. You listen to a symphony like this and you want 8 French horns and 4 tubas and blasting away at the end, kind of sending it to the stars. And that just didn't. It felt a bit perfunctory, and I don't think it was the performance, because I think Honeck I think they played it well, and I think the piece is good. I think the failure is in me. This week I just wasn't. I just wasn't into it. That was the second half. There was no special cocktail this week. I was worried that they had stopped making them because of my scathing reviews earlier on. But they did have one for the Prokofiev, which February 11th, it was close to Valentine's Day, so they had some noxious, syrupy, sweet goop, which I didn't drink. I don't drink anymore. But I do like to criticize their cocktail choices. The concert was called Bohemian Spirit, which I guess was the Dvorak. So there was certainly potential for a themed drink. I don't know what it would have been. Some Eastern European licorice, fennel, herbal beverage, but that's not the kind of drinks that they make. In fact, why don't I just skip the drinks that were served on the Valentine's Day concert were not earthy herbal concoctions. They were something called a heart's tragedy, which is sloe gin, lemon juice, simple syrup, and club soda. Most of these drinks end up topped with soda, so they're fizzy and watered down a little bit. Sloe gin is gin, but infused with sloe berries, S-L-O-E, which are red, sort of tart. They're berries. They taste like berries. And slow gin is nice. Uh, with a bit of lemon, that'd be nice. I like a gin and tonic with, not with lemon juice, but with lime. So it's going in the right direction there. Simple syrup? I don't know. Club soda instead of tonic? Yeah. Sounds horrible. And then they had something called Feuding Families, which is cranberry, lemon and lime soda, which I guess is Sprite, vodka, and grenadine, which is just like corn syrup flavored a little bit. So this is a horrible drink. They should have just made a Shirley Temple if they were going to. Vodka and cranberry. It's not very thematic, is it? So I guess they think of love, even feuding love that ends with the death of all participants, as kind of syrupy sweet with a little bit of fizzy. I'm not impressed with these cocktails. Anyway, so we had Dvorak, and then that was after the break. So before the break was the Shostakovich First Cello Concerto, which I didn't know, but I did like. I like that sort of later period Shostakovich, right? This was in the 50s, Opus 107, late 50s. This wins the prize for the best program note. And here's the program note. Program note's written by, who are they written by? Dr. Richard E. Rodda. Presumably someone teaching somewhere here in Pittsburgh. Anyway, first cello concerto written for Rostropovich. Here's the quote. Rostropovich telling a story. Shostakovich gave me the manuscript of the first cello concerto on August 2nd, 1959. On August 6th, I played it for him from memory 3 times. After the first time, he was so excited, and of course we drank a little bit of vodka. The second time, I played it not so perfect, and afterwards we drank even more vodka. The third time, I think I played the Sanson Concerto, but he still accompanied his concerto. We were enormously happy. I like everything about that, starting with the fact that he memorized a new commission in 4 days. That would be good. But whatever. I like it. I like that period of Shostakovich's very clear music. Shostakovich is always very clear. But I don't get caught up in the question of whether he was writing propaganda music or whether there's coded emotion in it. There's always coded emotion in music, and the sections of Shostakovich that are sort of famously bright and cheery, because if he didn't write that music, perhaps he would have been sent to the Gulag. I do hear compromise, and I hear the compromise as an emotion. Like, it's very powerful. It's not coded. It's just compromise. I've been looking at this. This is Opus 127, so, not far off from 107. This is it's a piece for violin, cello, and piano, and a soprano voice. And I was looking around for vocal settings with chamber groups, right? And this came up, and I really liked it. For that reason, the melodic element is straightforward, and the music is not virtuosic, although it's got to be played right. it's just very colorful and clear. And that sense of mix of engagement and compromise is always there. And I find it deeply affecting. I have a plan to do a study of this piece. I play through it because I'm writing some songs that might find their way into my opera. With this sort of, sorry, I'm yawning a lot today. One of the reasons that I've been delayed in getting these videos out is I was quite sick. I thought I had COVID, but I failed every COVID test. I mean, I had a negative test. So I didn't have COVID as far as the tests. Took it twice. But I was leaden for the last week or so. But I'd like to do a video just on this piece, which I liked more than the cello concerto, and I liked the cello concerto. Okay, now the first part of the we got some music. We got some music to talk about now. Catherine Balch, a new piece. And let me just say, in the program notes, they say her name Balch, and then in parentheses they say so it's spelled B-A-L-C-H, and then it says pronounced B-A-H-L-C-H, and I still don't know how to pronounce a name. Like, is the point that it's a soft sh instead of k? Is it not Bach? Balch? That's what I said, right? Balch? Or is it Balch? I know they said the name, I just wasn't paying attention. Then I saw this here. I just think that for a program note specifically to say how to pronounce the name, it introduced more confusion. And I was just going to say Balch. Is it Balch? Sorry. I really liked this piece, but it was too short. This piece had enough nice stuff in it that it could have been three times as long. It was 10 minutes. And it could have been 30 minutes. Because there was some really beautiful music that could have been, twice as long, 3 times as long. For example, about a third of the way through, the texture changes dramatically. And all of the woodwind players also had harmonicas. And you can see in the instrumentation that it says, like 2 flutes doubling on harmonicas, 2 oboes doubling on harmonicas. I saw that and I thought, I don't know, we're going to get some gimmicky stuff. But it was lovely. It was this, sort of breathy, full texture. And the orchestra were playing fragments of melodies, sort of some sort of sonic, right? Like the piece. So there were 2 things that jumped out about this piece. One was it needed to be longer, and I wish that her commission had been for a 40-minute piece with the same material. It would have been really nice. The second is the piece has a very deliberate title, Musica Piralis, the music of the firefly, and she's very clear that she's inspired by a specific soundscape of rural Connecticut at night where there are fireflies, many of them still in the fields, and then the sounds of frogs and birds and water, and that this piece is trying to recreate some of that color. And it does that. It does that very nicely. But I think about this a lot because programmatic titles, I think, are great. I like them. But not when they then shape a deliberate narrative, like here's where he's walking through the field, and here's where he gets his head cut off, and here's where his children are grieving, and here's where his dog runs away. You're like a cartoon. accompaniment, and we all love cartoon music, but that's not, I don't like program music like that, or even music that could be read like that. This piece isn't like that. It's a moment, and then the music is a reaction to that moment. And then we hear it, and yeah, on the one hand, it's recreating that original moment. But more importantly, it is triggering reference to some other moment in my own life, in the audience's own life. Do you know what I mean? Like the very specific becomes the general, becomes the second specific. I like program titles because the composer is saying, look, here was an event or a moment that meant something to me. Here's the music that is what that meant to me. Now, in your life, what has a similar meaning? I'm working on a piece now that the tentative working title is Lake Erie After Hearing Mahler's Third. Well, I'm not using sound effects to create the lake. I'm not quoting Mahler, except in the most sort of abbreviated sense. What I am doing is remembering a really wonderful, powerful, emotional experience when my wife and I went up to Erie, heard a performance of Mahler's Third, had a nice weekend, then came home. And I want people to hear this music and not be transported to that moment, but to be reminded of other equally powerful moments in their own lives. This piece did that for me. It was very evocative, colorful. Yeah, I was always aware of the original place, but I was transported back to places I've been that were quiet, right? Not places where I heard a frog or saw fireflies, but places where I was transfixed by the beauty of the place. I like that. I like this piece a lot. Premiere, they make a big deal out of it being a co-commission, and that after the performance, it was also then going to be, Honeck was going to take it to New York, perform it there, and 3 other orchestras, each of them led by someone who was at one point the assistant conductor for the Pittsburgh Symphony, including Daniel Meyer, who's the music director at the Erie Philharmonic, who conducted that Mahler performance that I heard just last month. That's great. But it's not great that it's a big deal that that's what happens to the piece. Right? We are doing a disservice to composers by commissioning short pieces. It's true with the other concert. There was a 10-minute piece by Nancy Galbraith, who's a composer who lives here in Pittsburgh. I don't think that what happened. I don't think what happens is that the Pittsburgh Symphony calls up and says, "Hey, I'd like you to write a piece of music," and the composer says, "Okay, I can probably get 9 minutes for you." The Pittsburgh Symphony calls up and says, "Hey, I need it to be no more than 11 minutes because it's going to be the first piece in the first half, and I'm going to put, a concerto afterwards." And that concerto is going to be about 20-some minutes. And then we're going to have a second half with the symphony that's 40 minutes. And that's the concert. So don't write a 40-minute piece. I don't like it. I mean, don't get me wrong. If they called me up and said, would I do it, I'd set aside those qualms. But I would totally make it clear, like this piano piece is 7 movements. It might be 35, 40 minutes long by the time it's done. So I might say, here's movements 3 and 5, something like that. Or I might write a piece and call it number 46, just so it's clear that, I don't know. The composer of Musica Paralis, Catherine Balch, could have written a really wonderful 40-minute piece with this same material. And I want to hear that piece. All right. Previous concert. Okay, February 11th. I'm just going to tell you, this was probably my least favorite concert of the year. And here's why. Prokofiev, Suite from Romeo and Juliet. We all love that piece, right? It, it's beautiful. I first heard it. It's in the soundtrack to Caligula, right? Not Hugh Hefner. What's his name? Whatever, I can't remember the guy's name. It's not softcore porn, it's just porn. I don't know. I saw that movie in high school. Anyway, the music, the Prokofiev is used in that movie. I saw that. I saw Caligula, and I saw Jeremy Irons in Swan in Love as a senior in high school. And I think between the two of them, that I don't know, particularly the Swan in Love, just maybe set some I don't know, probably shaped my personality in ways that even now, as an older man, I haven't read Proust yet. I bought the newish translation, the Viking translation that came out a few years ago. I bought the full 7-volume set, thinking that I would read it last year when I was out on medical leave, when I had a few months off. And then I didn't. I read a lot of Nabokov instead. It's in English, so I can read it. The French is beyond me. But that's a goal for this year, is to read the entirety for members of things past. Okay, so here's why I didn't like this. I like Prokofiev. And I like young actors figuring out how to do Shakespeare. But I don't like them together. And so they had a Romeo and a Juliet come out and recite in between sections of the music. And I couldn't deal with it. It wasn't clear when it was going to happen. It wasn't like every third piece or whatever. So it was always hanging over me. When are they going to come out? I couldn't follow what they was saying. Like it seemed like they chose random bits, and they were young, right? And I don't know if they were high school, but I like seeing young, less polished performance. I like that. I like it in music. I like it in theater, but I didn't like it here. And I know that makes me a cranky old person, but I didn't like it. And I didn't like it from the moment that I knew that was going to happen. So before the music started, Juliet came out and did some bit on the balcony, and there was Romeo. I was like, oh, Lord. It doesn't say anywhere where they came from, so I don't want to be cruel to them, because in any other situation I would have liked hearing what they were doing. It doesn't say where they came from. Oh well. So then the intermission, and then before the second piece of the first half of the earlier concert, Franz Liszt, Concerto Number 2 for piano and orchestra. I didn't like this. I mean, I don't like this piece very much. I liked the first concerto well enough, just because I heard it when I was young, and one of the first records I bought was Andre Watts playing Concerto number 1. The first one has that triangle solo, right? Ding. Is that right? And I remember a professor at Bates College, where I was an undergrad, describing that piece and saying, I would never want to play that triangle. It's the most exposed solo in the entire repertoire. And I thought that was very funny. Because it is. So the concerto, he played it nice. It was very fluid. It's not that long. It's 20 minutes. But I would have preferred to have heard him play something different. So he's a French pianist. He played very nicely. But let's say he's French. I mean, he's French. No, he is French. So let's say we picked up French concerto. Not that he couldn't, he could have played anything. Could have played Prokofiev. He could play Prokofiev. Everyone plays Prokofiev. He could have played Ravel. A lot of people played Ravel. He could have played Jolivet. André Jolivet has a piano concerto. Not played. I've certainly never heard it played live. Could have played that. That would have brought the house down. At least I would have liked it. What else? The Poulenc. They could have brought a friend and played the Poulenc 2 piano concerto. Why didn't we hear that piece? Everyone would love that piece. Everyone loves that piece. Stravinsky has a piano concerto. Maybe they wouldn't want to do a Prokofiev concerto and a Prokofiev Romeo and Juliet. Anyway. So kind of a wasted 22 minutes, I thought. Great orchestra, Manfred Honeck, nice soloist. Something special could have happened, and instead, Nancy Galbraith opening the concert with a piece called Tormenta del Sur, Southern Storm. This was a very colorful, motoric piece, also about 10 minutes, 9 minutes. So fitting the mold. I think she spoke about this with the reviewer in the Post-Gazette. That, what I'm complaining about is not just me complaining about it. It's a thing. And commissioning bodies or the people in the symphonies who make those commissioning decisions need to trust the composers. And if they're worried about people walking out, if they're worried that no one will come to a concert where the second half is an entirely new commission, then that is a lack of imagination. Nobody knows anything. They don't know this music either. They come because they sense the aura about it. Oh, it's Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet. Oh, that's very special. They don't know it. Oh, treat the commission like it's a special thing. Tell everybody how special it is, and they'll think, oh, that's really special. I used to talk about this with a friend of mine who ran a new music ensemble. It's not the piece that gets people in, it's how you talk about the piece. I think at the time, someone was going to bring a group in and do Morton Feldman string quartets. This didn't happen because of COVID. But it would be like 6 hours of music, right? Well, no one knows that. Probably on their own, nobody really wants to hear that. But if you're like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to hear the most extraordinary musical event that you're ever going to hear. Period. People will come. So get Nancy Galbraith. I heard her a year ago, 2 years ago, her piano concerto, one of them. Maybe it's a third, fourth. She's written a few. And it was a premiere in a smaller group just down the road here at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater. And I think it was the Carnegie Mellon University Ensemble with a guest soloist. It was wonderful. It had complex harmony, right? It was not sort of regurgitated romantic harmonies, which We haven't returned to that. We have moved away from sort of exclusive serialist music. That probably happened 30 years ago. Now there's this really dynamic language that I think particularly American composers have access to. And it has all of the tonalities, poly, A, micro. It has all of them. They're all there. But there's a coherence to it that it's unabashed. It's wonderful. Put that piece on the program. Have what's his name? Alexandra Cantorell. Instead of playing Liszt, have him play Nancy Galbraith piano concerto. Have that be the whole first half, and then do the Prokofiev the second half. Like, we don't need 3 pieces of music. Give the audience some credit, but then also understand that they need to be told. We need to be told what's special. The Erie Philharmonic, when they did Mahler, spent the entire year telling everybody what an extraordinary event this was going to be. And you know what? The place was packed with people who were having an extraordinary experience. Anyway, I've got a lot of videos coming up. I'm going to do another one tomorrow on Leonard Bernstein conducting Messiaen. On Wednesday, can't remember what I'm doing on Wednesday. Thursday, I'm doing another meditation video. And then I'm gone for the weekend. I'm going down to Maryland to spend some time with my parents and go to a concert on Saturday night, the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. So I'll give a review of that. It's going to be a good one. Some staged Wagner. So it's going to be nice. And I'm taking the train there and back. So I might even do the video in the train on the way home. I'm trying to remember what that third video is. The Messiaen. This. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Art immolated in space. That's right. One of my compositions, one piece of art, was included in a project that was supposed to go to the moon. It didn't. It burned up. And I'm pretty fucking excited about that. So I'm going to talk about that. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Plus some shorts, me at the piano, Composer Daily stuff. So a lot of stuff. I know I sound funny, I think. I had not COVID, but I had a tooth pulled right in the front here, so I'm lisping. Everything it's not quite a lisp, is it? It's that sibilant sound. Because I've got a hole in my tooth. You can't see it because I don't smile, and when I do, I have my beard. But it's quite distracting in my head. I don't know what it sounds like. Anyway, I'll get that fit. I'll get something to replace it. All right. That was a long one. Thank you for sticking around. Let me know if you have any questions or if anything I've said has been counted to your experience. Perhaps you were at the same concert that I was at and had a radically different experience. Let me know. Otherwise, more to come. Keep your wits about you.